Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is Thursday, October 5th, 2023. Lance Brock with you here this morning to talk pro wrestling. Hope everyone is having a nice Thursday morning so far. A reminder, there is a new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic now available here on Spreaker or wherever you listen to your podcast at. Talking all about last night's AEW Dynamite, which had all the fallout from Wrestle Dream last Sunday. And one of the things that took place last night on Dynamite was the return of Mr. Mayhem. Wardlow made his return against Griff Garrison. Just a real quick match. He was in and out, squashed Griff Garrison, beat him real quick, 1, 2, 3, which I thought was probably for the best. Wardlow, bring him back, get him some momentum, bring him in as this monster who comes in and squashes guys real quick before he was doing the powerbomb sympathy, where he would powerbomb guys a bunch of times in a row, which, like I said, that's what Wardlow really needs to be, where he's this unstoppable monster who just destroys whoever gets in his way. And last night on Dynamite, we also saw Adam Copeland tell Christian Cage that he wants them to team together again to take on teams like FTR, the Young Bucks, to prove that they are the greatest tag team of all time. But Christian instead just gave him a hug and then said, "Go F yourself." This is a podcast for ears of all ages, so I'm not going to repeat exactly what Christian Cage said last night, which was blacked out anyway on TBS. And looks like eventually we will get to a singles match between Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. But the question is, when? Could Full Gear possibly be too soon for that? In 6 weeks? But next week on this big, as I saw somebody already made a picture for next Tuesday, calling it the Tuesday Night War, with AEW and NXT going head to head, which, I don't know, I think that might just be, since this is just a one night thing, and yes, I know both companies have stacked their shows, but just enjoy the great wrestling we're going to see next week. Just enjoy both shows. Watch one live, DVR the other, which I'm sure next week I'll probably watch Dynamite live and DVR NXT, and then talk about both shows on 360 Wrestling Fanatic that night. As of right now, that's the plan. So remember, next week, special night Dynamite airing on Tuesday. Also, just another programming note. This Saturday, Collision will be airing an hour early at 7 p.m. Eastern on TNT, which isn't really too bad of a move. Collision took a pretty big hit last week going up against No Mercy, which surprised me because it didn't even take that big of a hit in the ratings when they went up against SummerSlam and Payback. But then NXT No Mercy, and that was kind of weird. So they'll only be going up against Fastlane for the kickoff show and the first hour. But since it is a premium live event, I think for Saturday I am going to watch Fastlane live and then record Collision. And then after I watch both shows that night, probably will try to do a live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. So not sure just yet what time I will be going live for that episode. So just stay tuned here to 360 Wrestling Podcast. Also, just one thing I want to mention from last night's Dynamite, it was announced that at Full Gear, which I believe is 6 weeks away, or about 6 weeks maybe, MJF will be defending the AEW World Championship against Switchblade Jay White of Bullet Club Gold. And don't get me wrong, I do not at all have a problem with AEW giving Jay White a title shot at the World Championship. I'm sure they will have a really good match. But I don't know. Full Gear is, like I said, about 6 weeks away. And just, I'm not sure if I would actually say that that's too long of a build. But I don't know. I think maybe since they are building the special episode of Dynamite, which will be airing next Tuesday as Title Tuesday, that would have been a good main event for it. Put on MJF and Jay White for the world title. And like I said earlier, both companies are trying to stack these cards since they are going head to head. And if you want to put on something really big against NXT, why not put a World Championship match on the show? MJF and Jay White. But instead, we will see that match at Full Gear. Of course, they did bring up the attack on Jay White last week, and MJF denied it once again. And he talked about all the things he has done, and then why wouldn't he just say that he did it? But we have not come, and I know it's still early, but we have not come close to finding out yet who was behind the attack on Jay White, who was the one that supposedly stole MJF's devil mask out of his bag. Also, just one more quick thing. The video with Adam Cole and Roderick Strong and the Kingdom, I wasn't really a big fan of last night, I have to admit. I did not think it was as good or as funny as the videos that Adam Cole and MJF have done in the past. And also you had that little problem with the audio issues, so they had to end up showing it twice. Which, like I said, I was not a big fan of the video anyway, but had to see it twice. And another thing on Dynamite that I was not really a big fan of was the unprotected chair shot to the head by Don Callis to Kenny Omega. Maybe the chair was gimmicked somehow, who knows? Hopefully it was, but I just didn't really care for that spot last night. And that's all for this Thursday episode of 360 Good Morning Wrestling fans. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope everyone has had a great Thursday morning. Hope everyone enjoys Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor tonight. I might try to do a new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic to talk about both of those shows. And I will be back tomorrow morning for the Friday episode of GMWF. And until I talk to you tomorrow morning, have a great pro wrestling day.